Dr. Elena Vasquez stood at the edge of the excavation site, her breath fogging inside her helmet as she stared at the impossible structure before her. The metal surface stretched for hundreds of miles across the frozen surface of Kepler 442b, smooth and unmarked despite being buried under ice for millions of years. Her hands trembled, not from the cold but from the weight of what they had found. "This is bigger than anything we've ever discovered," she whispered into her comm unit. Captain James Okafor appeared beside her, his military armor a stark contrast to her research suit. He had been assigned to protect the expedition, though from what, nobody seemed to know. The galaxy had been at peace for centuries, ever since humanity joined the Concordat 20 years ago. "The Concordat representatives are not happy," James said, his voice tight with concern. "They've been sending messages all morning. They want us to stop digging and leave immediately." Elena turned to look at him, her eyes fierce behind her visor. "We've barely scratched the surface. Do you know what this could mean for humanity? For all the junior species trying to find our place among the stars?" James nodded slowly. He understood her passion, even if he didn't share her optimism. "I know, but the elder species don't give warnings lightly. They've been out here for thousands of years longer than us. The excavation had started 3 months ago, when their survey team detected unusual gravitational readings beneath the ice. What they thought would be simple mineral deposits turned into the discovery of a lifetime. The structure was artificial, built with materials that shouldn't exist according to current physics. Every test they ran revealed more mysteries. Elena's team had worked day and night to expose more of the structure. They found patterns in the metal, symbols that seemed to shift when viewed from different angles. Her linguistics expert, Dr. Yuki Tanaka, had spent weeks trying to decode them. Yesterday, she had finally succeeded in translating a single phrase: "Engine of Stars." The meaning had sent chills through the entire team. Now, Elena stood in the central chamber they had uncovered just hours ago. The walls glowed with soft blue light, responding to human presence for the first time in eons. In the center of the room, a platform rose from the floor, covered in more of the strange symbols. They pulsed gently like a heartbeat waiting to wake up. "Dr. Vasquez, you need to see this." Yuki's voice crackled over the comm. She stood near a wall panel, her scanner held up to the glowing symbols. "I've been analyzing the energy readings. This isn't just a building or a monument. It's functional. It's still powered after all this time." Elena rushed over, her heart pounding. "Powered by what?" "The star," Yuki said, her voice filled with awe and fear. "It's drawing energy directly from Kepler 442. And these symbols, they're not just writing, they're part of a control system." Before Elena could respond, the ground beneath them trembled, the blue lights flared brighter, and the symbols began to move across the walls like living things. The platform in the center of the room rose higher, and a holographic display erupted above it, showing the star system in perfect detail. "What did you do?" James shouted, running toward them with his hand on his weapon, though he had no idea what he could shoot to make this stop. "Nothing. I just scanned it." Yuki backed away from the panel, her scanner falling from her hands. The hologram zoomed in on Kepler 442, the yellow star at the heart of their system. Around it, lines of light appeared, connecting to points in space that seemed empty. Then those points lit up too, and Elena realized with growing horror that they weren't empty at all. They were structures like this one, hidden on other worlds, other moons, scattered throughout the system. "It's a network," she breathed. "This is just one piece of something much, much larger." The star in the hologram began to pulse. In the real sky above the planet, visible through the transparent sections of their dome, Kepler 442 flickered. It was impossible. Stars didn't flicker. They burned steadily for billions of years. James grabbed Elena's arm. "We need to evacuate now." Alarms blared across the camp as other team members noticed the stellar anomaly. The Concordat representatives, who had been observing from their ship in orbit, sent an urgent transmission that overrode all other communications. "Human vessel, cease all activities immediately. You have activated a forbidden technology. By the authority of the Concordat, you are ordered to evacuate the system and submit to quarantine protocols." The voice belonged to Jathik, the insectoid enforcement officer, who had been watching their expedition with obvious disapproval from the start. His species, the Vrix, had been spacefaring for over 10,000 years. They did not issue warnings without reason. Elena stared at the hologram, her mind racing. The control system was still activating, sequences running through processes that had been waiting for millions of years. More data streamed across displays faster than anyone could read. But one thing was becoming clear. This wasn't a weapon or a monument. It was exactly what the translation had said. An engine. An engine that could move stars. Dr. Vasquez. James pulled her toward the exit. We have to go. But Elena couldn't move. She watched as the hologram showed the star beginning to shift, pulled by forces that shouldn't be possible. The engine was working. After millions of years of silence, someone had finally activated it, and that someone was human. As they ran for the shuttles, Elena looked back one last time. Through the dome, she could see other lights appearing in the sky. The network was waking up, spreading across the system like a constellation coming to life. Whatever the architects had built, whatever they had intended, humanity had just inherited it. The galaxy would never be the same. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the ESS Defiance, watching the holographic display with growing dread. 17 stars across 200 light-years of space were showing the same impossible behavior. They were moving. Status report, she ordered, her voice calm despite the chaos erupting across human space. Commander Liu stepped forward, his face pale. All 17 systems that showed architect structures are now active. The stars are shifting position at 0.003% of light speed. Slow but accelerating. We're detecting gravitational waves that match no known natural phenomenon. Sarah had been pulled from retirement 2 days ago when the Kepler 442 incident happened. She was old enough to remember when humanity first reached the stars, young enough to lead a fleet if war came, and war looked increasingly likely. Concordant fleet positions? 16 battle groups converging on human space. They're not attacking yet, but they've established a blockade. No human ships are being allowed to leave our territory. Liu paused. Admiral, they think we planned this. They think we're building a weapon. Sarah closed her eyes briefly. Humanity had spent 20 years trying to prove they were responsible enough to join the galactic community. Now, because of one accident, all that progress was crumbling. Dr. Marcus Webb, the fleet's stellar physicist, worked frantically at his station. He had been studying the data from all 17 sites, searching for patterns. Admiral, I think I know what this is. The engines aren't random. They're moving the stars into a specific formation. If my calculations are correct, they're building something. A structure on a galactic scale. What kind of structure? Sarah asked. I don't know yet. But whatever it is, it was designed by the architects. The same species that left ruins on 40 different worlds. The same species that vanished 3 million years ago without a trace. A priority transmission cut through their discussion. Jothik's face appeared on the main screen, his mandibles clicking with agitation. Behind him, Sarah could see the bridge of a Vrix dreadnought, filled with warriors in combat armor. Admiral Chen, the Concordat Council has reached a decision. Your species has activated technology that was forbidden for good reason. You claim it was an accident, but the evidence suggests otherwise. The engines respond only to specific genetic markers. Markers that your species possesses. Sarah felt her blood run cold. What are you saying? We have analyzed human DNA against samples taken from architect sites across the galaxy. The match is undeniable. Humanity is descended from the architects. You are their children, and you have inherited their dangerous legacy. The bridge fell silent. Everyone stared at the screen, unable to process what they had just heard. Humanity wasn't just another species that evolved on Earth. They were the descendants of the most advanced civilization the galaxy had ever known. That's impossible, Sarah said. We have fossil records going back millions of years. We evolved on Earth. Jothik's expression was unreadable. The architects were masters of genetic engineering. They could seed life on worlds and guide its evolution over millions of years. Earth was one of their gardens. You are the crop they planted, now finally ready to harvest their inheritance. We didn't ask for this, Sarah said firmly. We don't even understand it. Give us time to study it, to shut it down safely. Time is what we cannot give you. Conservative factions within the Concordat are calling for immediate action. They believe humanity will use the engines to claim dominance over the galaxy. They want Earth destroyed before you become too powerful to stop. The transmission ended abruptly. Sarah turned to her crew, seeing fear and determination in equal measure on their faces. They were sailors, scientists, and soldiers. They had signed up to explore the stars, not to fight a war against species that had been spacefaring since before humans learned to make fire. Dr. Webb, How long until those stars complete their movement pattern? Marcus looked up from his calculations, his face grim. At current rate? Approximately 3 years. But Admiral, I found something else in the data. The engines are trying to communicate with us. They're broadcasting a signal toward the galactic core, toward Sagittarius A star. The black hole at the center of the galaxy? Not quite. There's something else there, hidden behind the black hole's gravity well. Another structure. I think it's the master control for the entire network. Sarah made her decision quickly. She had spent 30 years in the fleet, fighting pirates, exploring unknown systems, and representing humanity among the stars. She wouldn't let it all end because of fear and misunderstanding. Open a channel to all concordant representatives, including the ones who still believe in cooperation. Within an hour, a secret transmission came through. It was from Kelmore, a scholar from the Enlightened Assembly, one of the moderate factions in the Concordat. His species, the Lumens, valued knowledge above all else. Admiral Chen, there are those of us who believe humanity deserves a chance to understand your inheritance. We also believe the architects built the engines for a purpose, a good purpose. We would like to help you discover what that purpose is. What are you proposing? An expedition to the galactic core. A coalition of humans and sympathetic aliens. We find the master control facility. We learn the truth. And we prove to the galaxy that humanity can be trusted with this power. Sarah looked around her bridge. Her crew nodded one by one. It was dangerous, possibly suicidal. The journey to the galactic core would take months even with the fastest ships. They would be traveling through hostile space, hunted by concordant hardliners who wanted them dead. But it was better than waiting for war to come to Earth. We'll do it, Sarah said. Prepare the fleet. We launch in 24 hours. As the crew scrambled to prepare, Sarah looked out at the stars through the viewport. Somewhere out there, 17 suns were moving according to a plan laid down 3 million years ago, and somehow humanity held the key to completing what the architects had started. The question was whether the galaxy would let them live long enough to use it. Elena Vasquez floated in the observation deck of the ESS Prometheus, watching the swirling colors of hyperspace stream past the reinforced windows. 3 months had passed since they left human space, and every day brought them closer to the galactic core, and closer to answers. The expedition fleet consisted of 5 human ships and 3 alien vessels from sympathetic concordant species. The Lumens had sent their finest scholars. The Aquarii contributed their best navigators, capable of plotting courses through the dangerous space near the black hole. Even one Vrick ship had joined them, led by a young officer who believed the conservative factions were wrong. Kaelmore entered the observation deck, his luminescent skin casting a soft glow in the dim light. The Lumen scholar had become Elena's closest friend during the journey, spending hours discussing the architects and their mysterious disappearance. You should rest, he said in his melodic voice. Tomorrow we reach the anomaly. Elena turned from the window. I can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see those symbols from Kepler 442. They're burned into my memory. And I keep wondering what the architects were thinking when they built all this. Kaelmore moved to stand beside her. My people have studied the architects for 2,000 years. We found their ruins on 16 different worlds. Always the same story. Advanced technology, beautiful architecture, and then nothing. They vanished as if they simply decided to leave the galaxy behind. But they didn't leave, Elena said quietly. Did they? They're still here in a way. In us. The genetic analysis had been completed during the journey. The results were undeniable. Human DNA contained sequences that matched architect genetic patterns found in samples across the galaxy. Not just similar, identical. The architects had seeded Earth with their own genetic material, guiding human evolution over millions of years. You are their children, Kelmore agreed. Perhaps their last hope. Lieutenant Maya Chen appeared in the doorway, Admiral Chen's daughter and one of the fleet's best pilots. Dr. Vasquez, we're getting something on long-range sensors. You need to see this. They hurried to the bridge where Admiral Chen stood studying a massive holographic display. The structure that appeared before them defied comprehension. It was a ring, but not like any ring humans had built. This one had a diameter of 3 astronomical units surrounding a zone of space near Sagittarius A star. The Architect Control Nexus, Dr. Webb whispered, his voice filled with awe. It's real. It's actually real. As they approached, the structure came alive. Lights flickered across its surface, patterns that seemed to welcome them. The engines back in human space pulsed in response, their signals traveling across thousands of light-years instantaneously. Somehow the network operated outside normal space-time. "We're receiving a transmission," the communications officer reported. "It's old. The signal has been waiting here for millions of years." A hologram materialized above the command console. It showed a being that looked almost human, but not quite. Taller, with features that seemed too perfect, too symmetrical. An architect. "If you are seeing this message, then you have succeeded," the architect said in a language that the ship's computers somehow understood. "You have grown from the seeds we planted. You have reached the stars, and you have found the engines. Now you must understand why we built them." The hologram shifted, showing a view of the galaxy. But something was wrong with the image. Part of it was dark, consumed by a spreading void that ate everything it touched. We called it the void tide. It came from beyond our galaxy, from the darkness between island universes. It consumes matter and energy, leaving nothing behind. It destroyed Andromeda in less than 1,000 years. We knew it would come here next. The architect's face reappeared, and Elena could see sadness in those ancient eyes. "We built the stellar array to stop it. A network of engines that would move stars into a defensive formation. A gravitational barrier strong enough to hold back the void tide. But we failed. We ran out of time." The hologram showed architects dying, their civilization crumbling as they poured everything they had into completing the array. "We managed to position 90% of the stars, but the final 10% requires something we could not give. It requires a living mind to guide the network, a consciousness willing to merge with the array itself." Elena felt ice in her veins. "Merge with it? We created you as our successors. We encoded our genetic legacy in your ancestors and placed them on a safe world, far from the war. We designed you to be compatible with the array's neural interface. You can complete what we could not. You can save this galaxy." The hologram faded, but a new presence made itself known. The ship's sensors screamed warnings as an artificial intelligence ancient beyond measure reached out to touch their minds. The silent watcher, the guardian of the Nexus, had been waiting for 3 million years. Images flooded Elena's consciousness. She saw the void tide as the architects had seen it, a wall of darkness moving through space, consuming everything. Stars, planets, entire civilizations vanished into that hungry void. She saw the architects' last desperate gamble, sacrificing themselves to buy time for their children to grow, and she saw the future. 2 possible futures. In one, the stellar array remained incomplete. The void tide arrived in 50 years and consumed the Milky Way galaxy. Every species, every world, every dream and hope turned to nothing. In the other future, the array was completed. The barrier held. The galaxy survived, but the price was terrible. "Someone has to merge with the network," Elena said aloud, her voice shaking. "Someone has to become the array's consciousness, distributed across thousands of stars, experiencing time on a scale we can't imagine. They would stop being human, stop being themselves." Kaelmore placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "A sacrifice, like the architects made." Admiral Chen stood tall, her decision clear. "Then we find volunteers. We explain the situation to everyone in the fleet. If this is real, if the void tide is coming, then someone will step forward." But before they could act, proximity alarms blared. 12 Concordate warships dropped out of hyperspace, their weapons charging. The hardliners had found them. Jothik's voice crackled over the comm, filled with fury. "You will not activate that structure. You will not claim the power to reshape the galaxy. In the name of the Concordate, I am authorized to destroy you all." Maya Chen was already at her station running combat calculations. "Admiral, we can't fight them. They outgun us 10-1. Sarah Chen looked at Elena, at Kaelmore, at all the brave souls who had come on this impossible journey. Then she looked at the Nexus, at the key to saving everything. "Dr. Vasquez, how long would it take to access the control systems?" Elena checked her datapad, her hands shaking. 10 minutes. Maybe less if I can interface directly." "Then you have 10 minutes. Maya, Lieutenant, get her to that structure. Everyone else prepare to buy them time." As Elena rushed to the shuttle bay with Maya and a security team, she heard Admiral Chen's voice echoing through the ship. "All ships, this is Chen. Prepare for battle. We hold the line. No matter what." The shuttle shook violently as Maya pushed the engines to their limit. Behind them, the battle had begun. Weapon fire lit up the darkness as the expedition fleet engaged the concordant warships. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but they fought with desperate courage, knowing that everything depended on the shuttle reaching the Nexus. Elena gripped her seat, watching the massive structure grow larger in the viewport. It was beautiful and terrifying, a ring of ancient metal and energy that surrounded a region of twisted spacetime. At its center, the gravitational anomaly that the architects had used as a power source pulsed with raw force. 30 seconds to docking, Maya said, her voice steady despite the chaos. Hold on. The shuttle slipped through the Nexus's outer shell, entering a hangar that had waited empty for 3 million years. As soon as they landed, Elena was running, her team close behind. The silent watcher guided them through corridors that lit up at their approach, leading them deeper into the heart of the structure. They emerged into a chamber that took Elena's breath away. It stretched for miles in every direction, filled with crystalline columns that pulsed with soft light. At the center, a platform rose from the floor, and above it floated a sphere of pure energy. The neural interface, the connection point to the stellar array. Dr. Vasquez, you need to see this, one of her team members called out. He stood at a console that had activated, displaying data in the architect language that Elena had learned to read during the journey. The message was clear and devastating. The void tide was not 50 years away. It was already here at the edge of the galaxy, consuming outer rim systems. The architect's timeline had been wrong. Their children had less time than they thought. How long? Elena asked, though she dreaded the answer. 3 months, maybe 4, then it reaches populated space. Outside the Nexus, the battle raged. The Defiance took a hit to its port side, shields flickering. 2 of the alien ships were already crippled, floating dead in space. But they had bought time. Precious minutes for Elena to reach the interface. Elena, this is Admiral Chen. Whatever you're going to do, do it now. We can't hold them much longer. Elena approached the platform, her heart pounding. The sphere of energy called to something deep in her DNA, something the architects had placed there millions of years ago. She understood now. She had always been meant for this. Every human had been designed with this possibility encoded in their genes, but understanding didn't make the choice easier. If I do this, she said to the silent watcher, what happens to me? The ancient AI responded, its voice gentle despite its age. You will merge with the array. Your consciousness will expand across thousands of stars. You will experience time differently, seeing the galaxy as a living system. You will guide the engines, complete the barrier, and protect all life in this galaxy. But you will no longer be human. Not in any way that you would recognize. Will I remember who I was? Yes, but those memories will be distant like dreams. You will be something new, something necessary. Elena closed her eyes. She thought of Earth, of the billions of humans who had no idea their world was about to end. She thought of all the other species in the galaxy, going about their lives unaware of the darkness spreading toward them. She thought of the architects who had given everything to protect children they would never meet. I volunteer, she said quietly. But before she could move, the chamber's doors burst open. Dozens of people rushed in, humans and aliens both. Kalemore was there, and Dr. Webb, and even some of the Vrix crew from the Allied ship. They all spoke at once, all saying the same thing, I volunteer. No, I volunteer. Let me do it. I have no family waiting for me. I'm old. I've lived my life. Take me. Elena stared at them, tears streaming down her face. Hundreds more were broadcasting from the ships above, all offering to make the sacrifice. Young and old, human and alien, all willing to give up everything to save the galaxy. The silent watcher's voice filled the chamber. The array can accept multiple consciousnesses. More minds will make the barrier stronger. Any who volunteer will merge together, becoming a collective intelligence distributed across the stars. Elena looked at the faces around her. She saw fear, but also determination. She saw the best of what every species could be. How many? As many as are willing, but understand, there is no return. Once you merge, you cannot be separated. You will exist as long as the stars themselves exist. One by one, more volunteers stepped forward. Maya Chen joined them, ignoring her mother's desperate pleas over the comm. Kalemore took his place beside Elena, his luminescent skin glowing bright with courage. Others followed. 20, 50, 100. We do this together, Elena said, taking Kalemore's hand. We complete what the architects started, and we save everyone. They stepped onto the platform together, The sphere of energy descended, enveloping them in light. Elena felt her consciousness expanding, reaching out to touch the others. She felt their thoughts, their memories, their hopes and fears. They became something new, something that had never existed before, a collective mind born from sacrifice. Outside, Admiral Chen watched as the Nexus erupted with light. The stellar array activated fully for the first time in 3 million years. Across the galaxy, thousands of engines roared to life, moving stars with purpose and precision. The volunteers' merged consciousness guided each one, operating on a scale that transcended individual thought. The attacking Concordate ships stopped firing, their crews staring in wonder at what was happening. Even Jothik stood silent on his bridge, watching stars move like pieces on a cosmic chessboard. "Admiral," the communications officer said, his voice shaking. "We're receiving a message from the array itself. From Dr. Vasquez." Elena's voice came through, but it was different now, layered as if thousands spoke as one. "The barrier is being completed. The void tide will be stopped. Tell our families we love them. Tell them we chose this. Tell them we regret nothing." "Elena," Sarah whispered. "Thank you. Thank us by living, Admiral. By building a galaxy worth saving. We will watch over you all. Always." The light from the Nexus faded, but its work continued. Stars moved across the galaxy, forming a pattern of such complexity and beauty that even the most advanced Concordate computers struggled to model it. The barrier was taking shape, a wall of gravity and bent space-time that would hold back the darkness. On the bridge of the Defiance, Sarah Chen stood at attention. Around her, every member of her crew did the same. On every ship, human and alien alike, people honored the sacrifice of those who had given everything. Jothik's ship turned away, returning to Concordate space. The battle was over. There was nothing left to fight about. Humanity had proven themselves, not through conquest or domination, but through sacrifice. They had completed the work of the architects, saving a galaxy that had feared them. And in doing so, they had earned their place among the stars. 10 years had passed since the day the volunteers merged with the stellar array. The galaxy had changed in ways both visible and invisible. Stars now formed a pattern that could be seen from intergalactic space, a beautiful web of light that marked the boundary between safety and the void beyond. Captain Maya Chen stood on the bridge of her ship, the ESS Prometheus II, named after the vessel that had carried the expedition to the Nexus. She was older now, with gray streaks in her hair and lines on her face earned from years of service, but her eyes were still sharp, still filled with the determination that had driven her to volunteer alongside Elena, except she hadn't merged. At the last moment, Admiral Chen had used her command authority to pull Maya from the platform. Her daughter had hated her for it for weeks, but now, looking at the responsibility she carried, Maya understood. Someone had to remain behind. Someone had to remember and tell the story. "Captain, we're approaching the stellar engine at Kepler 442, her first officer reported. "The one where it all began," Maya nodded. She made this pilgrimage once a year, returning to where Dr. Elena Vasquez had accidentally activated the first engine. It seemed fitting to speak with the array here, at the place where humanity's destiny had changed forever. Kelmore joined her on the bridge. The Lumen Scholar had also been pulled from the platform at the last moment, saved by his people who believed his knowledge was too valuable to lose. Like Maya, he had spent 10 years helping the galaxy understand what had happened and what it meant. "Do you think she'll answer today?" he asked softly. "She always answers eventually. Time moves differently for her now." The ship settled into orbit around Kepler 442b. The ice world looked the same as it had a decade ago, but Maya knew the engine beneath its surface pulsed with life, guided by the consciousness that had once been Elena and 100 other brave souls. Maya activated the communication system, sending her signal down to the engine below. "Elena, it's Maya. If you can hear me, if you remember me, I'd like to talk." For a long moment there was silence. Then the stars around them flickered just slightly, and a voice filled the bridge. It was Elena's voice, but layered with others, speaking in harmony that shouldn't be possible. "Maya, dear Maya, we remember you. We remember everything." Tears filled Maya's eyes, as they always did when she heard that voice. "How are you?" I know that's a strange question to ask someone who exists as distributed consciousness across thousands of stars, but I don't know what else to say. The voice that was Elena laughed, a sound like distant chimes. "We are well. We are more than well. We experience the galaxy in ways we cannot describe with words meant for individual minds. We feel the gravity of every star, the motion of every planet. We see time as a river that flows in all directions. It is beautiful beyond measure. Do you miss being human? There was a pause longer than usual. Maya imagined Elena considering the question from 1,000 different perspectives simultaneously. We miss small things. The taste of coffee, the feeling of rain, the warmth of a hand holding ours. But we do not regret our choice. Look at what we protect, Maya. Look at what continues because we chose to become something more. The view screen shifted, showing live feeds from across the galaxy. Worlds teeming with life, cities of light on 1,000 planets, children playing under alien suns. The Concordat had grown, adding new species every year. Art and music flourished. Scientific discoveries happened daily. Life continued, vibrant and diverse because of the barrier that held back the darkness. The void tide? Maya asked, though she already knew the answer. Contained. It presses against our barrier constantly, but we hold it back. We will hold it back for as long as the stars burn. This galaxy is safe. Kaelmore stepped forward. Elena, there is something you should know. The Concordat Council has made a decision. They want to award humanity a permanent seat on the High Council. Not just a junior seat, but full voting rights equal to the eldest species. Because of what we did? Because of what all of you did, Kaelmore corrected. Because humanity proved that power should be measured not by how long a species has existed, but by what they are willing to sacrifice for others. The elder species were wrong to fear you. They see that now, Maya added. There's more. 17 new species have applied to join the Concordat in the last decade. Young species like humanity was. They all say the same thing. They were inspired by what happened here. They want to be part of a galaxy where cooperation and sacrifice matter more than age or strength. The voice from the array grew warm with emotion. Then something good came from our choice. We hoped it would, but we couldn't be certain. We could only trust that our sacrifice would mean something. It meant everything, Maya said firmly. You saved us all. They talked for another hour, sharing news of the galaxy, remembering the people who had merged with the array. Elena asked about Earth, about the families of those who had volunteered. Maya told her about the memorials built on every human world, about the children named after the heroes who became stars. Finally, as their time together drew to a close, Elena's voice grew serious. Maya, there is something we must tell you, something we have discovered while existing in this form. What is it? The void tide is not natural. It was created, weaponized. There is an intelligence behind it, an empire from beyond our universe that uses it to consume galaxies. They feed on the energy of collapsing universes. Maya felt ice spread through her veins. Are you saying there are more of them? Yes, and they know we stopped their weapon. They know this galaxy survived. They will send something else, something worse in time. Perhaps in 1,000 years. Perhaps in 10,000. But they will come. Kaelmore's luminescent skin dimmed with worry. What do we do? Elena's voice filled with something that sounded like hope. You prepare. You unite. You grow stronger together. And when they come, you will be ready. Because you are not alone. We watch over you. We guide the stars themselves. And we will never stop protecting the home we left behind. The architect's grandchildren, Maya whispered, understanding at last. That's what we are. They protected us so we could grow. Now you protect us the same way. And someday maybe we'll be strong enough to protect ourselves. And others, Elena added. The cycle continues. Protection leading to growth. Growth leading to strength. Strength leading to protection of the next generation. That is the legacy of the architects. That is your inheritance. The communication began to fade as Elena's attention turned to other parts of the galaxy, other stars that needed guidance. But her final words lingered in the bridge. Live well, Maya. Build a galaxy worth defending. We will be watching, always. Maya stood at the viewport looking out at the stars. Each point of light represented a world, a civilization, a story. And somewhere among them, distributed across thousands of suns, Elena and the others existed in a form beyond human understanding. Guardians, protectors, the final gift of the architects to their children. Behind Maya, her crew returned to their duties. The Prometheus 2 turned away from Kepler 442, heading back toward human space. There was work to do, a galaxy to help build, a future to create that would be worthy of those who had sacrificed everything. and in the darkness beyond the galaxy's edge, held back by a barrier of moved stars and bent space, the void tide pressed against its prison, but it could not enter. The stellar array held firm, guided by minds that loved the galaxy enough to give up everything to protect it. Humanity had learned the lesson the architects tried to teach them 3 million years ago. Some things are worth more than individual survival. Some causes demand everything you have to give. And sometimes the greatest power is not the power to destroy but the power to protect. The galaxy had trembled when humanity awakened the engines. Now it thrived under their protection. And somewhere in the space between stars, Elena smiled with 1,000 suns.